Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining us here today on USA Global TV and Radio. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us. My name is Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and I do a few things here at this channel. I am the founder, the president, producer, and chief listening officer, and it is my joy and my pleasure to welcome our incredible panel for our show today, which is the United Kingdom News and Culture. So joining us are our three expert correspondents who have so much talent, so much experience. They've done so many broadcasts and changed the lives of so many people. And what they all have in common is they lead their lives with their hearts. They are all about supporting others and lifting up others. And I am just truly just so grateful that they are all in my life. So thank you so much. Let's welcome them to the show. Helena Chard joining us. Hello.
Hey, thank you for such a warm welcome. How lovely.
Well, it's from my heart. Thank you. And I have to say, the boys in yellow are joining us today. Welcome, Ian Pelham Turner and Simon MacDonald.
I see you got the check, Jacalyn. You know.
I'm not going to cash it, I promise.
Got mine as well, obviously. Yes, we're all in uniform today. This is it. But we're trying to make it a nice bright day because here we are into autumn. All the greenery's coming off the trees and so on. It's going gold, and the end as well, and it's pouring down with rain. I was trying to think of a suitable word there that we could use on air, and it is pouring down with rain today. So there we are. So we're just trying to brighten up everybody's lives a little bit.
Well, I think yellow and gold does make you feel happier. Just like I said to you backstage that the sun finally came out after, I think, 5 days. And just seeing the sun, of course, it proceeded to start pouring right afterwards. But I did see it. It's like, yes, it's still there. So it makes you feel happy.
We don't see the sun now till next May. You know, so we now you're looking at. I'm lying. Jacalyn, you were looking.
I need Helena to tell me the actual truth. What's going on there, Helena, with the weather?
It just feels like there's no sun for the next 6 months.
Yes. Yeah.
So we've basically got a lot of it's great. It's not cold. It's just grey and wet. So it's got that miserable feel, you know. So just like the boys, I actually sort of had a similar kind of feel. I thought, well, I'm going to wear something like red, something bold, not black, you know. Yeah, so this is my attempt. Yeah, this is my attempt. So it does make you feel. It's good, isn't it? Colours do make a difference.
Like yellow, you do.
I just sort of feel, yeah, I feel strength. Strong.
You've got a yellow book on the shelf there, Helena. You've got a yellow book on the shelf.
Oh yes, that's my bit of yellow. Yeah, see, very good.
And I went with the cold shoulder look today because that makes me feel empowered. It's also built-in air conditioning if I happen to need it, but I don't. So.
A bit like a kilt.
Yes, exactly. And by the way, we want to say hello to DIANN FLOYD BOEHM, who has the day off. Hi, DIANN, if you're watching or not, but we are thinking of you. So what's going on? What's the latest with the news in the United Kingdom?
We've got
that says a lot, doesn't it?
I know, it's wide open.
Where do we start? I mean, politically, well, I'll leave that bit in, and Simon, you can have a chat. But actually, on a political note, something I'm looking forward to, it's not really political, but it's a bit of tongue-in-cheek. There is a wonderful program, it's a new program that starts this evening, and it's called Make Me Prime Minister 2022. Now, it's a reality game show, and it's something like 12 contestants that compete to be made Channel 4's alternative Prime Minister. And I don't know, we discussed Jackie Weaver a little while ago, and she's a funny lady where her Zoom call went, it was a parish council Zoom call, went viral. Anyway, so she's one of the contestants, but there are some really good people that are going to be on it. And Alistair Campbell's one of the judges. I think there are a few sort of political journalists there. And it's going to be interesting to see, because I actually think as a reality game show, this is a good idea. And I think it probably will rear some quite good people. And I would bet your bottom dollar that a few of them will definitely go into politics, which is good because they'll have a profile as well from the programme. So this is something I'm looking forward to. And to be quite honest, what with the shenanigans going on with Liz Truss and, you know, all these things that have been said and then they're taken away and everyone's trying to get rid of Liz Truss. I mean, it's just horrible. I mean, it really doesn't give anyone any confidence at the moment. And obviously with the cost of living and people are worried, everyone's feeling a little uneasy. But I'm sure Ian wants to talk about the political state of our country.
I think the reality at the moment, and I'm sure all of you, or Simon, I'm sure agree as well. I mean, this is not the best time for Britain by any means, and I think the reality as well at the moment is that I look at the effectiveness of this government, this new government, and I suppose I really always thought that Boris Johnson wasn't the most cleverest of prime ministers until I suddenly looked at Liz Truss, and I think, you know, there's this rumor going around at the moment that the Conservative Party, the right of centre party, wants to lose the next election because the economy is in such a mess. And then in 2028, which would be the next election after that, they're hoping that Boris Johnson will come back and save them. And quite honestly, as I say, you know, some of the most incredible rumours have been going around that that have been sent to me, some of them as well. You know, the allegations about all sorts of different things happening. And I think, you know, basically we want to talk up Britain right now. And I'm sure Simon probably said the same. You know, we want to talk up Great Britain right now because, you know, we need the energy. We need to energize Britain. We need to make people in Britain feel hopeful. And in business, especially, we need to sort of be pushing, you know, brand Great Britain across the world.
Totally agree there. Yes, but you know, I mean, we've got mistrust in the chair, and then you look at our beloved Chancellor, Kwasi Kwarteng. I prefer to call him Kamakwasi, the way he's destroying the economy. Either that or Quasimodo. But the place is in a bit of a state. But referring back to the new series on Channel 4, perhaps we might find a more likely candidate coming from that one than we've actually had elected in Parliament. But yeah, not a pretty state we're in just now. I think that if anything, the current government, or misgovernment as they are now, are doing wonders for the independence brigade in Scotland and I think in Wales as well.
I think it is, and you know, all of us want to see a future. You know, the American dollar is going great guns. I think we've moved up a cent or two in the past couple of days, which you know, at least shows that we're sort of, you know, getting back together again. But the amount of sums of money that we are now, you know, borrowing to actually just shore up our financial situations is incredible. But I think, you know, I think the reality right now is that we've got to find ways, and I think all of us agree, we've got to find ways of bringing our two nations together, you know, and that's the hardest thing, because I think, you know, we've always seen the United States as our biggest ally, but at the moment, because of the Northern Ireland situation, then President Biden doesn't really want to give us anything at all. And I can understand that. at the same time. And so, but I think, you know, what's really important, it'd be interesting. How do you think, Simon, at the moment, you know, is the fishing industry suffering alongside everything else, or is it?
Oh boy, are we having our problems at the moment in the fishing industry, big time. You know, in the financial world does affect the fishing industry considerably. The government are pushing like mad for all the offshore renewables, and this is causing serious long-term implications to the fishing industry. That is, if we're going to continue to have a fishing industry, because we've got this problem of spatial squeeze. The fishing fleet are actually being squeezed out of the water. There's more and more plans to build more and more of these offshore wind farms, and even Keir Starmer said, well, if he gets into power, then he's going to quadruple the effort out in our waters. So there really will be no room for anything to go on other than wind farms. So it's a big concern. And I was down in London last week at a big all-party parliamentary party discussion on this matter, and it's very worrying indeed for the fishing industry. So it's taking up a lot of my time, and it's taking up a lot of my sleep as well, I must admit, and a lot of the sleep of other guys out there, in particular ones who've just bought new boats and had new trawlers launched in the last few months. Now these boats, you're into millions of pounds worth of boat, and they're now looking at this big push for the increase of the usage of windmills. It's very worrying times. And
is it because of pollution, or that is it sea lanes? What is stopping the trawlers going out?
No room. I mean, these trawlers, when you're towing a net behind your boat, that net's maybe a quarter of a mile behind you. So you cannot move in and out of the windmills safely at all. Plus the disturbance of the seabed when they're building them as well. There's one organization there who've got 18 developments underway at the moment. And out of the 18 developments, 16 of them fall onto prime haddock spawning ground. Now, the haddock is one of the most viable or most staple fish that we have in the UK. And to disturb the spawning grounds is nothing short of criminal. It really is. It's the long-term implications of that just doesn't bear thinking of. So they're going in, they're putting these things in. There's been very little scientific research into the effects of the windmills, and it's not so much the mills themselves, but it's the cables that go from the mills to the shore. And there's going to be quite a network of these cables going. And what they have discovered so far is that with crab, which migrate in an anti-clockwise direction around the country, once the crab come to these cables, they stop. They get totally mesmerized by them, and they just don't go any further. Other shellfish breeding there, like lobster and prawns and so on, they're suddenly noticing that there's a lot of deformities in new stock. And this is all in the vicinity of these power cables, subsea power cables. So that's a major worry indeed. About the future of the fishery just on that in itself.
Gosh. I mean, ladies, I was just going to ask Helena and Jacalyn. I mean, how do you? I mean, it's good to see a female prime minister. I think it'd be good to see a female president. But how do you think? I mean, from Helena's point of view, and perhaps from Jacalyn's point of view as well, how do you feel Liz Truss is doing at the moment? Is she a good example? And this sounds terrible, but I mean it in the kindest way. Is she a good example of female management? I don't know.
I personally think, it's very hard to just suddenly make a judgment, personally. I don't know enough about her, I mean, the announcement she made, without going into it, you know, with the higher bracket of earners and getting rid of the tax and everything, was absolutely ludicrous. I mean, I know that she's had some good. I know that she does a lot of things behind the scenes, like she does empower women in different ways. Like she'll go and do some private speeches at different organisations, and that's a plus. I mean, you know, she's the front lady, isn't she? But there has to be behind her these little people running, pushing her to do it. And you almost wonder whether they're wanting her to hang herself, just because there's another gameplay behind it. That's what I feel, because I think this whole, it's almost like everyone's blaming everyone else. There's no proper leadership. You know, if the Conservative Party wants to do well, they have to come from strength. And there is no leadership. And it doesn't just lie with one woman. But on the vote of, yes, is it good to have a woman? Yes, of course it is. We've just lost Her Majesty the Queen, you know, one great lady. So we want people with strength, and you know, we want women to do well. I would love Liz Truss to do well. I don't feel that she comes with strength, but I don't just blame her for that. Is my feeling.
Yeah, Helena, thanks for sharing that. I tend to agree with you. And I feel like when women are in positions that they haven't been in before, that everybody's looking for them to fail immediately, whereas a man might fail right away doing the same thing and nobody's going to say anything about it. But here in this country, you know, we have a female vice president, and she's constantly being written up for her gaffes and saying things that are inappropriate or saying things at the wrong time. And then people are zoned into that. So I think that it's about the person. I don't think if it matters so much if it's a female or a male, but it's also, there's a whole team of people behind them that are giving them, here's the play-by-play of what you're going to do today and what you're going to say today. And so I think it's hard to really pinpoint exactly where we need to put our focus. But I think it's too soon to say, is what I would have to say about Liz Truss. I don't know enough.
I think, you know, that the reality at the moment is, I mean, I was having a discussion this morning. Basically, the Conservative Party have just had their rally, their 3-day event that they have each year, and the lady who contacted me this morning is an ardent Conservative insider. And you know, there is so much disillusionment at the moment. There is so much fragmentation within the party itself. It's frightening just to see, you know, who's doing what. And I think, you know, that the one of the biggest things that came up, the reason why Liz Truss is now Prime Minister, it was down to the membership of the Conservative Party, of which I think there's something like about 150,000 members, and they chose her to become Prime Minister, whereas the MPs, the members of Parliament, the politicians themselves, chose a different candidate. They chose Rishi Sunak, and so that you know, the reality at the moment is that I can see a lot of infighting going on, and I think, you know, it's important right now to pull together and also to build more bridges with America. You know, this type of show this afternoon, I think it's terribly important, actually, because I think we could do with a lot more global audience. You know, listening to what we're doing, not listening to how we're behaving right now, but listening to our aspirations. And you know, in the past few days, I've been working, or just started working, with a group of about 220 young people who are all aspiring entrepreneurs, and they're all into high tech. I don't understand a thing they're doing, you know, but they're terribly excited about these communication systems and the like. And I think, you know, I think it's time to stand up for Britain now.
Yeah, I think it's you know, it's wonderful to be tuned in to politics, but I just feel at the moment here in the UK, it's sort of creating this sort of, it's not well, it's not joyful, put it that way. And I think we need to make room for joy, no matter how small. And in fact, you know, I'm going to move on to something. You were talking about entrepreneurial. There is a guy that actually has introduced, I love it when people do funny things, but it's a butcher who introduced King Charles III sausage fingers, special edition, and they are for sale. I mean, it's madness, isn't it? And it's not naughty as well, because King Charles himself talks about his fingers. They do get swollen. And I don't know if anyone's ever noticed, I mean, obviously photographing, etc. I always notice people's whole bodies, and he does have these sort of very fat red sausage fingers. So congratulations to the chap that did that, I think. And also, on another note with King Charles as well, the new coins that are coming out, the Royal Mint have brought these coins out. So there's a 50p piece, and also £5, which is, I actually think £5 is quite a lot to make into a coin. But I suppose maybe it's collectors, I don't know. But the Royal Mint website actually crashed because so many people wanted to get in first to get these King Charles III coins. So 50p and £5 coins. Amazing. So people have been waiting for like hours and hours and hours, sort of like all night, and all of a sudden it just went down. I sort of felt pleased. I was pleased that people wanted to do it. And I like to think that it's people in general, but I guess it's collectors as well, trying to make a buck or two.
And you still in Scotland, Simon,
now, because we've, you know, we're in an age where we have internet and this kind of technology. Because when the Queen came to the throne, there was nothing like that. So you know, you just wonder how many sackfuls of mail were going to the Royal Mint asking for you know, the first coins off the press with Her Majesty the Queen's head on as well. So of course the internet now is, in many respects, it's very transparent, because we can see just you know, just what's going on, just what the feedback is like, because you know, in the case of the Royal Mint, everybody suddenly whack gets online to do that. So it tells a story in itself. It's a great marketing tool. Used the proper way, it's a phenomenal marketing tool.
And he's in Scotland at the moment, King Charles again, isn't he? And the Queen Consort. So I mean, he seems to be spending more time up there at the moment. How do you think he's faring up there?
Oh, he likes it. I don't blame him. It's a lovely place to be. You know, it's almost sort of spiritual home to him in many respects. He always has loved around Balmoral or in that area. He can be himself. And the Queen loved it for the same reason as well. She could be herself. She could be the country girl with the dogs, with the horses, going out over the hills and so on, and not being bothered. She still carried on the work with the red boxes coming up each day, but she loved to get out and about, and she could really be herself. And it is a stunning place as well. It's not overpopulated. I mean, I was down in London, as I said, last week, and it was a huge culture shock to me, getting off the train at Euston Station, and it's just this sea of people. And that was at about 10:30 in the morning. So, I mean, I wasn't even in rush hour. You know, suddenly it's hit home just how overpopulated it is south of the border. And the further south you go, the greater the population. So it was a great relief to get on the train and come back up to Glasgow. Again, you know, fighting the way through crowds of people to get onto the train. And then you get off the Glasgow Central Station, which is a very busy railway station in its own right. And you know, there was room to move, there was room to breathe, and you know, you were sort of looking across the concourse and you could spot somebody on the other side who I happen to know anyway. So yeah, it's very crowded in London just now, and boy, did it hit home to me.
I think we get so used to it, Helen and I. You know, I mean, the rush hour, for example, it's almost like you can see very similar styles of crushing on trains, similar to what you see in Japan. You know, where they've got guards literally pushing people into the carriage, you know, so they can close the doors. And I think it's London at the moment is going through really a whole series of transformations, because our hospitality industry is really on its knees, I think, at the moment as well. We need the Americans back. You know, coming back and spending the dollars, especially where the dollar is right now. And of course, if I can make a quick plug for British tourism, obviously the dollar is much stronger, so you'll buy so much more when you come to Britain at the moment. And whether you go to Scotland, England, Wales, or Northern Ireland, you'll get you'll get a windy welcome, but it'll be a warm welcome from the people.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot more American accents in this last couple of weeks in Scotland. So, you know, they are coming here. They might be bypassing Englandshire, but they're coming to Scotland, and that's good. So, and I've had quite a number of emails from, you know, people from the States who are saying, you know, where should I go? You know, what can you recommend, and so on. The word seems to be getting around that, you know, I'm now like a one-man tourist guide or tourist board or whatever. So,
where are you sending them?
Well, west is best, of course, but you know, there's certain areas in Edinburgh as well that they you know, they really must see, and Royal Deeside, Inverness, and so on. But you know, ultimately the West Coast and the islands as well, definitely benefiting from my my waxing lyrical about what we have in the west of Scotland. So it's nice to see people back. The season is definitely extending. I mean, before it used to be maybe July and August, and that was sort of peak time of the season. But now it's actually becoming more all year round. And you go to Fort William, and we've got Glenshee. We've got quite a skiing industry here as well. And then there's the sporting, the fishing, and the shooting set as well. Even other sports. My passion is sailing, and the sailing season seems to be extending as well. So yeah, it's so good and heartening to see, you know, the general extension of the tourism influx. We need their money. So bring more in. We're open for business all the time.
And I think I was just going to say about Helena that obviously we're looking towards Janetta's 17-hour spectacular. I think.
Yeah, so that's coming up. It's coming up on the 10th of October, so that's this Monday.
It's etched in my brain.
Goodness me, Dr. Jacalyn, that's a lot of hours, isn't it? So it's celebrating mental health wellness through the arts. So it's celebrating mental health wellness rather than sort of dwelling on it. It's also the World Health Organization, as we know, also recognises the theme for World Mental Health Day as well, which is also on that day. So it's a great synergy, and it's about a global priority. So I think Monday it's going to be full of celebration, full of singers, full of positive talk, and I think it's really going to be a great affair. So we're all looking forward to it.
And a large amount of the actual technical side is down to you, Jacalyn. So well done you as well, because that you know, I don't know where you get your energy from. You know, I wish I could find out your secrets on you know, where all this energy comes from, because as I say, I think you know, it's only this week. I think the Queen's death. Not so much emotionally hit me hard, but physically hit me hard, and I think it was the same with Helena as well. I mean, we were touring studios like it was like revolving doors, you know, and I think it took a long time to actually, you know, almost feel like. I think this is the first week where I'm feeling like I'm getting back to normal again. You know, and it is. And I suppose this time of year, you know, I was going to say you must feel lucky in some ways, you know, being on a continent that is fairly constantly warm. And I know you're going to go to Florida as well, but then thinking what's happening in Florida at the moment, it's you know, there's a plus and minus side to even that.
Absolutely. Well, I shared with you both, I think yesterday, we're on the bay, and the bay this is in New Jersey, the water level was so high that all of the I mean, I look out now and I see a huge amount of wetlands. They were all gone, and the water just started pouring out of the bay. It looked like the ocean with the white caps. It was pouring out into the street. And I thought to myself, what those people must have gone through in Florida, just in their homes as the water continues to rise, or else they're up on their roof, or I just read a story about a man who rescued his mother. She's an amputee, and I think he had to go 1.5 miles through the river, the ocean, whatever had taken over the streets, the hurricane, and he had to swim and get there with power lines down. And she was in a wheelchair. She was up to her neck in water, and he managed to save her. I thought, oh my gosh, stories like that are just, we have nothing to complain about, really.
It reminds me of when I used to live in Scotland, and Simon would know this as well. It's whiteouts. You know, I even to this day, every time I think of this particular thing, and I used to live in Glasgow, or a suburb of Glasgow, and we used to go to this shopping centre, and the shopping centre had floor-to-ceiling windows, doors, you know, which were about 30 feet high, and when people were coming into the shopping centre, the doors would open and then close again. And this one particular day, it had been snowing, but we weren't really aware of it until this woman came in. She looked like a snowman. You know, she was covered from head to foot in snow, and this blizzard came sweeping through the shopping mall as well. And she was screaming at people, saying, "It's a blizzard! It's a blizzard!" And people were getting out of the way of all this snow coming through the thoroughfare of this shopping mall as well. So whiteouts, and I'm sure Simon's probably got some tales to tell about whiteouts as well. But it could be quite frightening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, a good old whiteout is generally followed immediately by a blackout because the electricity goes down. So that's
exactly right.
But yeah, we get a good snowstorm like that. It's you know, it makes you put your feet up in front of a very warm fire, and it's nice to look out at it. But I mean, I've had mornings before in the house I lived further up in the Highlands there, where you couldn't actually open the front door because the snow was piled up right to the full height of the door. So you had to sort of climb through a window at the back of the house to get out. The shovel to go around to the front and dig the front door of the house out, and then the next thing is find the car. You know, where is it? You know, oh, there's a little bump in the snow there. It must be under there somewhere. But yeah, we get some interesting weather here. I mean, fortunately, where I am, I don't actually get that much snow. If it snows here, then you know other people are really in big trouble, because being very close to the sea on the west coast, and there's a lot of salt in the air, so we don't tend to get the snow. And I was just sort of thinking back there to you know, what we were talking about, rush hour as well. Yeah, we had the rush hour just recently when they brought the sheep in for shearing, and being driven through the village there. That's rush hour. We don't get another rush hour for another year.
Well, there is a tradition in London, and you can actually be put up to become a freeman or free woman of the City of London. And it's just an honorary title that you can be nominated for. But and it's actually been tried out a few times. You can actually then if you are a freeman or a free woman of the City of London, you're allowed to drive your sheep over Westminster Bridge. Not that I would ever try that, because you know, the kamikaze drivers that go around that area, you know, it would be the end of I think a lot of sheep. But so it's one of these traditions, and occasionally you do find some foolhardy people who think that they should try this out, you know, driving some sheep across Westminster Bridge. So but we you know, I think I think probably we act more like sheep in London rather than drive sheep.
Yeah.
I will never look at the concourse of Euston Station in the same light again. We'll be seeing this going, man, all herd together down towards the next platform, yes, and with a couple of guards like collie dogs, yes, whipping them on down, yes.
You know, I do have a question for you all from a conversation we had a little bit earlier today, but you were talking about these coins. And I know here in the States, I don't know if it's still the same way, but many places you would go, there would be signs up saying, we don't have any change, or we're low on coins. So if you can donate some, and we'd rather you pay with your card. So we had a real problem with change, loose change, and there not being enough of it. Have you ever had that?
Yeah, actually, it's becoming more and more frequent that now. And I've noticed as well, I rarely carry cash around with me because everybody takes cards. And actually, most people prefer to take a card now rather than taking cash. So, yeah, it's very true. It's, you know, cash is definitely going a bit out of fashion, and coins as well, in particular. So even you know, petrol pumps and so on, you can, you know, sort of zap your card in front of a gas pump, petrol pump, to top up your car. I was stopped off at a garage to put some air in my tires the other day as well, and even the air machine, rather than taking coins, would prefer you to swipe your card in front of it. So it's mainstream now, definitely, and I think it's the preferred method.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, go ahead, Helena.
I was just going to say, I still think cash is king, and I just feel that, you know, we're all being forced really into this. It's because the world wants this system, and I think, you know, if you've got cash to use, you're in a situation where sometimes you can't even use it, which is absolutely madness, and it's not democratic at all. And I definitely feel we're just being pushed into this cashless society. But I say, you know, well, if that's the case, then make it, you know, wipe it out completely. You can't have cash and allow everyone to use cash and then everyone be put into these little boxes. I personally find it incredibly aggravating.
Yeah. I mean, we miss cash, but I think that a lot of this has come about from COVID, because a lot of shops say, well, we don't actually like to handle cash because it, you know, it could have COVID on it. You know, so I thought, well, it's, you know, it's a reasonable excuse or reason why people are not wanting to handle cash as much now. The difficulty of it is with the card, you know, it's a bit of plastic, you know, sort of zap it on top of a machine or whatever, and you don't think of actually the worth. But when you reach into your wallet and bring out the cash, you think, how much? Oh dear. Yeah, and it does pull you up a little bit short.
Yeah,
perhaps we may start having credit cards with the king's head on. You know, that could be the future now of you know, coinage is on its way out, and bless his heart. Do you know what? You know, I was looking at our new King Charles in Scotland. He looks happy to be amongst people who have welcomed him, and perhaps this is not supposed to sound cynical, but I think he's been waiting all his life to be appreciated, and I think finally he looks like he's being appreciated by people as well as King. And it's you know, as much you know, as he obviously was devoted to his mother, the Queen. He seems to be enjoying himself already, but I don't know whether that's, and I can see Helena frowning at what I'm saying at the moment as well. But I just feel he seems to be not getting over, you know, because obviously privately he's mourning his mother, you know, the Queen, but he does seem to be enjoying the practice of going out and meeting people at the moment. And he was wearing his kilt. So I don't know whether he was wearing, I forget which, there's a special tartan, isn't there? There's a royal tartan that only royal members are allowed to wear. So I don't know whether he was wearing that or not. But
yeah, he wears the Balmoral tartan a lot. But yeah, that was actually reading an interesting article this morning there that he's got to be very careful now what he says to William, because it turns out now that William is now the Duke of Cornwall. You know, he's gone up a level, so he's Duke of Cornwall. And of course, King Charles still has Highgrove House, but Highgrove House belongs to the Duchy of Cornwall. So technically, William is now his father's landlord. So he's got to make sure he's up to date with the rent, or he could get kicked out.
It's a funny old time, and I think King Charles is doing a good job. I mean, he knows it like the back of his hand. You know, he's been there as his mother's son for all those years. He knows exactly what to do. He's so well versed. He's very bright, intelligent. He knows about so many different cultures, societies, and I mean, he's mixing with the people, and he's doing a great thing. I mean, the thing for him that probably he's going to take slightly hard is the fact that some of the things that he was doing he can't do anymore. I mean, I know he was set to go to COP27 in Egypt, and he was going to give a major speech on saving the planet, which would have been fabulous, but obviously his position now has changed. He was advised not to go, and he's not going anymore. So there's certain things that he will not be able to do, but I think he's doing such an amazing job. I mean, he is. I mean, and they all get on so well. I mean, I think for me, one of the biggest things, and the things that everyone's been talking about recently, is commemorative something for Her Majesty the Queen. You know, what would everyone like to see and wear? And I know our Mayor, Sadiq Khan, was sort of who oversees obviously the Greater London Authority, he was sort of put on the spot because lots of people were saying, oh, we should have a statue on the 4th plinth in Trafalgar Square. And he came back and said, no, that's not going to happen. And lots of people were slightly alarmed and upset about it. But, you know, the 4th plinth in Trafalgar Square, which is, I mean, Trafalgar Square basically is a wonderful place, which is like a backdrop for loads of celebrations and, you know, lots of things happen. Loads of people mix there, and there are various statues there. But the 4th plinth, for a long time, has been one of the most prominent public commissions. And this has been since 1999. And someone called Prue Leith, who's very well known actually now more for her cooking, actually was the person that thought about this. Because this 4th plinth, in fact, was for William IV, King William IV, I believe, but there was never any statue erected. But now it's something that here in London and everywhere, really, people coming in to see it. So it's quite exciting because you have these great art pieces which are erected, and they're there just for 2 years. So even if you don't like them that much, you know that they'll be gone. And you have it's like a voting mechanism. And I have to say the artwork is incredible. I think there's something that's just arrived a few days ago called Antelope. Mr. Cambu is the artist. And in fact, myself and Ian were in Trafalgar Square going through to a meeting. It wasn't a meeting, it was an event. And it had just been erected, and it was such good fun to see. So people were talking about erecting like a statue of Her Majesty the Queen on this 4th plinth, which I find personally bizarre. I mean, why you would want this such an amazing woman that's given her life for all these years to have something there on this 4th plinth is bizarre. I mean, also another thing is Trafalgar Square is so known for Nelson's column. So Nelson, obviously, Lord Nelson has been at the top of the column, looking around London, looking over Trafalgar Square. And, you know, how can you compete when that's been there? I think really that is what Trafalgar Square is known for. And to have a little tiny thing on the 4th plinth for Her Majesty the Queen, it just doesn't work. So I don't know what you think, guys. If anyone's got any thoughts to how you want to see Her Majesty the Queen commemorated, I'd be interested to know.
I think historically, the royal family got to be very careful over this, because, and I can't remember who was the king that took over from Queen Victoria. Whether it, I'm not sure whether it was George V or Edward VII. Like, I can't remember now.
Edward VII.
So basically, Edward VII decided to have a statue built at the front of Buckingham Palace for Queen Victoria, and it's these days it's colloquially known as the Cake. And it's where photographers do their pictures of the royal family when they're on the balcony. But it took so long to actually build this that Edward VII never actually saw it. He died before the thing was commemorated and open to the public. It took 11 years to actually decide where that statue was going to be, and then actually build the statue itself. And I think, my guess at the moment is I think it should be, well, I think there should be several, because I think the reality is that perhaps, something very permanent and large at Balmoral would be very appropriate as one sort of significant place for a statue. I think, in London, then I think it has to be sort of somewhere actually within the precincts of Buckingham Palace. I think that would be, and obviously there's another statue of Queen Victoria at Windsor Castle, and so sort of something appropriate there as well might be, so I think it shouldn't only just be one. I think there should be several commemorations to Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, totally agree. You can't just confine it to one place, because at the end of the day, I mean, she was Queen of Great Britain. The easy mistake, you hear everywhere, oh, the Queen of England. But no, she wasn't. She was the Queen of England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales, and the Queen of the Commonwealth as well. So not just Queen of England. So she does have to really, I think, be recognised in all four nations within the United Kingdom. And
I think it
perhaps a long walk up to Windsor Castle, have another roundabout and fountain with the statue there. It would actually fit in the landscape, quite clean it up a bit.
I think what would be a very good idea is if the government set aside funding for the four nations, and where the nations themselves could decide it would be produced and decided upon by individual nations like Cardiff, Edinburgh, Balmoral, obviously London, and perhaps Belfast as well, so that each one could feel like they've actually commemorated the Queen in a special way at the same time. I think that would be a much better method of everybody feeling that they were able to do it. And the amount of money the government is splashing out on things right now, on some of these ideas that they've got, surely they could find perhaps a few million to be given to each of the four countries that is ring fenced just purely for a commemoration, for the Queen. And you look at things like in London, with Diana and Diana's Memorial Garden. And so lots of very special things could be done as well. And I hope that each of the four countries can actually determine their own agenda on something like this, and even sculptures or whatever it may be come from those countries as well. So it actually, because the Queen took everybody's heart, and so I think we have to sort of commemorate that as well.
I did a piece actually for GB News on this the other day, so it's quite interesting to hear what people are saying, and I agree. I actually said, Ian, as well, that I feel there should be several commemorative statues in place. But obviously, we'd have to have a commissioning group in place, and obviously the royal family as well has a say where and how Her Majesty the Queen will be commemorated. But it's quite interesting to see and hear what people will say. And I know that Ian, a little while ago, we've mentioned also, which is something also I mentioned about possibly having something which I feel would be quite fitting at Buckingham Palace, actually in the garden, so a memorial garden there, which would have to have something special for Her Majesty the Queen. Again, that would just be part or one of the things that would commemorate her. And let's be honest, she deserves some very special places that everyone can actually go and visit. I can't wait for everyone to start. And not just that, there are lots of such amazing artists out there. I know somebody that myself and Ian know, Maria Pandelli, fantastic, her sculpture. Kezia Burt's sculpture as well, who we met recently. And there are so many people that would love to create something in memory of Her Majesty the Queen. So I can't wait. And I actually hope to be part of the commissioning group that should be coming up soon.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. I think these are all great ideas. And maybe you can all spearhead it, get involved with it.
Absolutely.
But we have to close out our show for today because we have fashion, travel, and fitness coming up in less than 8 minutes. So thank you all for being here. I'll just go around. And as always, please share something with our audience for the takeaway for today. Let's start with Helena.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, for me, about today, it's not even so much about the show, but everyone, we all have to find our little bit of joy. I mean, at the moment, I do feel that certain people I'm speaking to feel swamped with everything political and so much upset in the world. But there is so much joy out there, however small that joy may be. Let's all find it and work towards it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Simon, over to you.
Yes, I mean, and to add on to that, well, too late is when tomorrow was yesterday. It's one to ponder over for the rest of the week. It's been a lovely show. Thank you.
Thank you. And over to you, Ian.
Well, I think the very colors that we're wearing today signify that we want to have hope, prosperity, and harmony with the world and in Britain ourselves. And I think, the reality now is we want people from across the world to come and enjoy Great Britain once more. And every week we will come out and promote Britain, but we will also come out and promote the United States as well, which is one of my most favorite countries in the world.
Thank you very much, Ian. And I think I would just share that we've all seen and heard about stories of heroism and people lifting up each other without getting notoriety, not doing it for any specific reason other than just being a good person and a kind human being. And I hope that we will all continue to find little ways to help other people, little big ways doesn't matter, and also to take care of our planet and the beautiful creatures that are here. They all have a reason. As my friend Pet Psychic Amina would say from our show, I don't know what the purpose of the mosquitoes is, but I'm sure they too have a purpose. So that's all for now. Thank you, everyone. Come back and see us tomorrow and stay tuned where you are. We'll be right back. We've got, I think, 6 more shows today. So stay with us. Thank you again, everyone. Bye.
Bye.